Welcome to Mr. UFC Vegas Fight Club TV. I am Kyle, your host. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC 232, Jones versus Gustafsson. We're going to talk about our best bet play, our free play, and our overall feeling on this card. We already have issues and all kinds of situations going on with the main event. Jon Jones being caught with a banned substance, although it was a very, very small fraction of a banned substance. If they said basically if you take a grain of salt, chop it up in 50 million pieces, that is the size that was found inside Jon Jones. So pretty crazy. We will get into all that. But before we do not forget to subscribe, like, hit kick the bell icon, get involved with Fight Club TV. It is a growing UFC and gambling channel all in one spot. So, before we really get into everything, I just wanted to say it has been a fantastic year this year with the growing of this channel, with really talking to you guys, really continuing to do well here in our best bet plays and have great conversations. I am really, really happy where this channel is headed. I want to do a couple little changes going into next year, which we will talk about in January, but really excited to continually move forward and evolve this channel. And again, my goal, the beginning of this year, on my best bet play was to get around 70% with no best bet under minus 190 and really finding those value plays in spots that we can make some money where the line is a little soft and we could find opportunities where a fighter has multiple paths to victory. So we're really looking to kind of piece everything together. It has worked out fantastic. We're at the 70% mark. We're plus 27.15 units for the year. It has been all in all a great year. So again, I appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate people that are making the purchase on Wagertalk, and I appreciate those that continually comment down below, because that is what is going to continually help grow this channel, bring other people to this channel, and I always appreciate anyone who's sharing or any of those other things. So on this prediction show, I want to get into some other fights and some other things I want to talk about. I will have, again, my best bet for purchase on Wagertalk, and we'll talk about a free play in a moment as well. So really, again, wanted to give a little thank you out to everybody who has been helping this channel grow. So the first thing we'll quickly talk about before we get into the free play is Jon Jones versus Alexander Gustafsson. Now, you take a look at these two guys here. You've got this situation now that's happening with this, I guess he did get caught, but they're saying it was such a small amount that Jon Jones is fine to fight, but they could not sanction it in Vegas due to really the holidays. It wasn't anything else than just pushing this forward. They said the commission, they said apparently 4 of the people in the commission are out of the state. They can't even just get signatures and people to take a look at documentation. So they had to move it quickly to California at the forum and have this happen there. Kind of a weird situation because of what has happened to Jon Jones in the past and where we are now. So very interesting how that is. I don't think it really affects anything in a looking at this fight. I think overall, I think it kind of still unfolds the same way. I don't think this takes Jon Jones out of his element. I don't think that this changes anything with Gustafsson. I think it's very much similar. I think it's a little bit on their minds, but I don't think it's going to change any outcome of this fight. But if you take a look at these two fighters here, real quickly, we'll go over this one. This is between Jon Jones and Alexander Gustafsson. You've got Jon Jones minus 265. You've got Gustafsson plus 225, and that's roughly where it is. And I think honestly that this line is right. I think it's where it should be. You got to give a little bit of advantage to Jon Jones in this fight over Gustafsson. But when you take a look at their first fight, now a lot of people are bringing this up. A lot of people are, hey, this is going to be, this is really a telling sign. And to me, I don't think it is. I don't think that that's a fight that you can really dissect and take a look at and really say, hey, this is going to happen next. This was in 2013. That they had this fight. It was a very long time ago, and I don't really think that they're the same fighters. I think they're both very different. I think a lot has happened, a lot of time has happened, and I think a big part also is where Jon Jones' head was. I think at that time, you look at him, he was really believing his own hype. There was even other interviews with him recently saying, you know what, I didn't train. And could that be an out for him to say why the fight was so close? Possibly. But when you take a look at really overall, Jon Jones was running through everybody at that point. He was landsliding it. He was on top of the world. It was almost like nobody could even come close to beating him. But in that fight there, it was a tight fight. So it does take away, oh, wait a minute, does Gustafsson have a chance here on what he did several years ago? Now, early in that fight, Gustafsson was the one that was really landing, getting in the groove, really moving forward, nice combinations, landing a lot. I think Jon Jones was kind of taken back by that. But by the middle of that fight, Jon Jones started landing 3-1 against Gustafsson. He landed a beautiful spinning elbow that landed perfectly. And once that happened, it really changed Gustafsson, the way that he was moving forward, how he was trying to dictate the pace of the fight. He was not able to do any of that stuff moving into the later rounds, into those championship rounds. So I do believe that Jon Jones won that fight, but I don't think that there's a lot that I can say, hey, that's going to happen again. I think at this point here, Jon Jones is going to be very focused. I think that he's going to be able to really utilize his range, and that's been such a great thing that he's been able to do. Although, Gustafsson is also a 6'5", very rangy fighter himself, but you take a look at his last 6 fights, Gustafsson is 3-3 in his last 6. Now, yes, he lost to, Anthony Johnson, Jon Jones, and Daniel Cormier over that span, so you can't really knock him for that. But I think that you look at Jon Jones, I think his skill set's there. I think he's refocused. I think there's a lot of great things that he's going to be able to do against Gustafsson in the second time. I think that this is going to be a fight that Jones is going to look to put a stamp on this whole Gustafsson-Jones tight fight. Could he do it again? I think that, at the price tag is not that great. I will be probably putting this in a parlay. I don't really want to have individual exposure to this because I just don't want to lay a lot of money on Jon Jones here. But I think Jones gets the job done. I think he can go out there. I think he's going to really utilize his range, utilize his cage movement. I think he's really going to be able to push forward. It was the first time, I think, in their first fight that Jones was taken down. So there was a lot of very odd things that took place in that fight. I really like what Jon Jones can do here. I don't think that this steroid situation is going to change anything. I think it's going to be very much I don't know if there's going to be a finish, but I think it could be a one-sided decision victory for Jon Jones against Alexander Gustafsson. So I will be taking Jon Jones. That was, again, I just wanted to touch on the main event because I want to hit on a couple other ones, also including my free play that we will be talking about. Another one that I wanted to talk about also, which is an interesting one, is the featured one in the prelims. It's between Walt Harris and Andrei Arlovski. This fight here, you've got Walt Harris is anywhere from -150 to -170. You've got Arlovski is anywhere from, a +150, +160, somewhere in that range. But really, and again, quickly going over these, you take a look at these guys here. You know what? Walt Harris does not have the greatest record, and he may not have that big household name. And you've got Arlovski, who, if you are a semi-MMA fan, you know who Andrei Arlovski is. You just know who he is. But you take a look at his last 9 fights. He's 2-7 in his last 9 fights. His only 2 wins are coming up against Junior Albini and Stefan Struve. And these 2 guys, not the high-level kind of fighters that you would really, kind of put your, hang your hat on for. So I don't really think that those guys are anything great. So really you take a look at some of the better fighters he's fought, even middle of the road, he's lost to. And his chin has almost been completely gone. He's, has shown in spots that he can still have it, but you land a big shot and this guy's going down. His wear and tear has been terrible. And then you've got Walt Harris on their side who, and not including against Mark Godbeer, which was 2 fights ago. He was beating Mark Godbeer, and then he threw an illegal knee, which ended the fight. But prior to that, or not including that, he's, out of his last 5 fights, he's 4-1. He's really started to move forward, and I think he, even when he stepped up against Fabricio Verdum, the same day, night before, whatever it was, he stepped up in that fight. Although he lost, I think those kind of things are very big learning experiences for guys that are really trying to move forward within the UFC. And then his last fight against Daniel Spitz, he pretty much just beat up Daniel Spitz, finishing him in the 2nd round. But the thing that I like about Walt Harris is I like the fact that he's big and he's fast. He's a little faster than you would think heavyweight would be. And I think that's very underrated for him. He's got nice cage control, good combinations. I don't really see in spots where you're going to see Arlovski having a lot of success. I think that he could land a big shot, and I think that he's tough. But I really like that fact that I think Walt Harris can come out there. I have really been betting against Arlovski so much over the last couple of years that I don't even have it in me anymore to bet him him or even really look at taking him in any fight. But to take a look at what he's going to do here, I think Walt Harris is really going to move forward. I think he's going to do a lot of great things. And I think that this is really going to be a stepping stone for him in his career. So I do like Walt Harris. The price tag, not the greatest. I wish it was a little bit closer and maybe some money would start to come in on Arlovski just as a household name getting plus money. But I do like Walt Harris. I think he gets the victory in the featured prelim fight. So now we will talk about is the free play that we will be talking about here, and it is between Amanda Nunes and Cris Cyborg. So this is a fight that you've got your first ever women's female super fight between the bantamweight champion in Amanda Nunes and the featherweight champion in Cris Cyborg. And this is a very interesting fight. And even when it came out first, I really started looking at this fight a very long time ago because once the odds came out, I was kind of shocked where the odds were. And you've got Cris Cyborg at anywhere from a minus 250, minus 260. You've got Amanda Nunes anywhere from plus 230, plus 250. So you've got a lot of, that's a wide gap for a super fight. It really is a wide gap. Now, I know that obviously the big part of this is that Nunes is moving up in weight, and people have talked about certain things about does she not have cardio and who she's fought and all, and can she handle the power of Cyborg, and that's the big thing. Cyborg is going to be bigger, probably going to be stronger, but after that, you don't really see much else. And a lot of people may disagree with me on that, but I don't really see much else besides her strength and her power. Now, you look at everything as a whole. Now, since she's been, obviously, Cyborg has been fighting in Invicta FC for most of her career. There were steroid allegations. There was contract issues with the UFC. There was a lot of moving parts when she was trying to come into the UFC. But since she came into the UFC, Cyborg is 5-0. She's had some impressive knockout victories. She's done very well and really continued to look like that dominant force. Now, the big part for me that I start to downgrade Cyborg, and now I know that's, you guys heard me right, I'm downgrading Cyborg, is you really take a look at the last 5 fights that she had. Now, within the UFC, or all the fights in the UFC, I should say. Since 2016, she first fought Leslie Smith. Leslie Smith is 10-7 in the UFC. She ended up beating her. Then she beat Lindsberg, who is 8-4. Then she beat Tanya Evinger, who's 17-8. And then she beat Wally Holm, where everyone said this is going to be a tough fight. But even then, people are still saying she's going to knock out Holm, she's going to dominate Holm. That was a very close, highly contested fight between two very, very great fighters within that division. But very close fight. She ended up getting, Cyborg ended up getting that victory there. And then you have against Yana Kunitskaya. Against Kunitskaya, debuting fighter. She was from Invicta. She came up. It was her first UFC fight. This was going to be nothing close of a type of a fight. It was a very landslide fight again for Cyborg. So you take a look at all 5 of those fights within the UFC. They actually were not that impressive when you look at the name brand. Now, Cyborg, yes, she's had some opportunities where people haven't fought her or didn't sign to fight her or didn't look to fight her. And that's been a little bit of an issue, too, where, you even had Durandamy was supposed to fight her, and then she ends up giving up the belt instead of even fighting Cyborg. So there's definitely been spots where Cyborg can't get a fight. There's no doubt that that's happened. But you take a look at the people that Nunes has fought and the female dominating fighters that she has fought over the last 5 years. She fought Durandamy and she ended up beating her. She did fight Kat Zingano, lost to Zingano, but that was a very long time ago. But then she's beat Valentina Shevchenko twice, which is saying a ton, which is really saying a lot about Amanda Nunes, because I think very highly of Shevchenko, and I feel like there were spots there too where maybe she, the fights were very close, split decision victory, against Shevchenko, tough fight, but she beat her twice. She beat Shevchenko twice. She ended up choking out Miesha Tate at UFC 200, which I was at, and that was just before that. She was, tagging her with big shots early in that fight. Then you got Ronda Rousey she fought. She ended up finishing Ronda Rousey extremely early within that fight. And then she even beat a tough Raquel Pennington recently. So those are some big names. Those are, without a doubt, some very big names compared to who Cyborg has faced. Now, I think the lines, Vegas got this line completely wrong. I think that they this should be very close of a fight. I think whoever does win this fight, it's going to be close. I don't think Cyborg is going to run through Nunes. Nunes probably won't run through Cyborg. I think it's going to be very, very close. So if you look at that, and when, again, I always try to take a look at what I think that line will initially be when I hear a fight comes out. And for me here, I was looking at it saying, you know what? Cyborg minus 130, Nunes plus 115. Looking at it somewhere in there. And I still, obviously I believe that's where the line should be. I fully believe it should be at that point. Now you take a look at the line. You've got, you're getting plus 250 odds on Amanda Nunes, who really has looked dominating and spectacular, training at ATT. She continues to have a great camp around her. There's a lot of great things I like about her. And I think when you're getting plus 250 odds on a current champion of another division, where someone like Cyborg has not fought that level, has just not fought the level that Nunes has faced. Now, again, there's multiple reasons why, or, other females not looking to fight her. That could be part of it. But you take a look at just the competition level, you have to give the check mark to Amanda Nunes over her career. But the other things that I do like about her is that I think that without a doubt, Nunes is going to be faster with her hands. She's going to have a lot faster hand speed over Cyborg. Cyborg loads up big time. She does have power. She can move forward. But the other part when you add it with Nunes is not only Nunes has the opportunity to go out there and have quicker hands, but she's very rangy with her punches. She really connects when she's fully extended on her punch. And that's something, too, where she only has an inch reach advantage over Cyborg, but I do like how she's able to work her combinations. And then also her footwork is great. I mean, that's another great thing about Nunes. She has great footwork where you've got Cyborg, who I wouldn't say has good footwork. I think she's very, she can take punches. There's no doubt Cyborg can take a punch. But she's more flat-footed compared to a Nunes who is always bouncing around, always moving around, working the leg kick, coming up top with some punches. So she mixes it up well, where I think that Cyborg is a little bit on the side of a one-dimensional fighter when you look at what she can do. Now, you take a look at if this fight goes to the ground. Now, is it possible? Can Nunes get her to the ground? I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think she's going to look for the takedowns. I don't think she wants to smother up against Cyborg, because Cyborg's going to be stronger, probably, than Nunes if they're in the clinch at any point. But if this fight does get to the ground somehow, and Nunes is able to do that, I think Nunes has the advantage on the ground as well. I think you take a look at her jiu-jitsu. They both have jiu-jitsu backgrounds, but I like Nunes' jiu-jitsu better. I think she's a little more opportunistic. I think that she likes and she really pushes forward for positioning when she's on the ground. She's able to get the back, I think, of Cyborg. She can finish this fight. So there's a lot of things there that I really like about her. And right there, you take a look at all the things, footwork, hand speed, well-rounded. She has power. I mean, that's something, too, that people are really overshadowing Nunes, is that, oh, Cyborg's got power. Nunes has power. I mean, I think that I think her moving up could be the spot where she needs to be. I think that she actually has an opportunity. If she goes out there and she wins this fight, I think she stays within that division, and I think she just goes out there and knows that there's some big fights that can happen. There could be other, super fights that they could be trying to make for her. I think that this is a great spot at a plus 250, and I actually had bet this about a month ago at plus 250, and then I see the lines kind of been moving down a little bit to plus 225, but I like Amanda Nunes here. I think the value is so great here that it's going to be a tough fight. It's going to be a close fight. There's no doubt about that this fight is going to be tight. But when you take a look at what can actually happen and the path to victory for Nunes and what she can do, I mean, yes, there's been a little bit of talk about her cardio, but I don't really fully believe that. I don't think that was something that is going to be an end-all, be-all for Nunes. I think Nunes can come out there. I think if she stays calm early in that fight, I think is going to be scary. I think that Nunes can go out, Cyborg can go out there, land some big shots, push forward, but I think that the footwork and the quick combinations from Nunes can at least fend that off, can at least push that off. And even if they get into the clinch, I think that Nunes is very smart, and I think that she's going to be able to get out of there, or at least be fighting for position. And you had Kunitskaya even for a very short time, but got Cyborg's back. Now, if that ever happened for Nunes, Nunes would really be able to end that fight if she ever got her back. She is very capable of doing that. And again, we haven't seen much of the ground game from Cyborg because she just hasn't needed it, but I think that Nunes is in a spot here where she can be very successful, and I think that she can have an opportunity to go out there and be the first female champ holding both belts, and I like her here. I think that there's an opportunity for her to win, so that is my pick for my free play. My free play will be on Amanda Nunes at plus 225 currently are the odds, and let me know what you guys think. If you guys are taking this, if you guys are really thinking Cyborg is going to be going out there and dominating, because I am seeing a lot of people really love Cyborg, but I have literally, when this fight came out, I said, I got to have some type of exposure on this fight. I have to have exposure on this fight. I mean, even when it was at 250, like I said, a month ago, I put money down. And even here, I laid a little bit more because it kind of stayed over the 200. I think anything over 200 is fantastic on Amanda Nunes in the co-main event of UFC 232. So there you have it. Those are that's my free play and some other plays that I'm just kind of throwing out there, seeing what you guys like. Some of them I'm betting on. Again, Amanda Nunes, I definitely will be betting. I will be having my best bet play up for purchase at Wagertalk. Check it out there. Again, for this year, 70% winner with all best bets, minus 190 and below. And really just having a great, fantastic year. I hope everybody has had a great Christmas, great holidays. We got the New Year's coming up. We have UFC 232 coming up. So a great finish to the year. And again, I want to make maybe some little changes to this show into next year. May even change the name a little bit. But again, it's going to be the same kind of platform, same kind of form that we normally do here. And again, I just want to continually evolve this channel and grow it as much as possible moving into 2019. Again, I thank everybody and look forward to the next video. I will have my bet review up probably Saturday, so take a look at that when you guys get a chance. But do not forget to subscribe, like, head kick the bell icon, get involved with Fight Club TV. And this is Mr. UFC Vegas, Fight Club TV.